Sorry about that, everybody. Technical issues. Typical for me on your first day.
That will happen. I've got no comments. Have you got comments?
We've got comments. Let's make sure I've done this right. You are live on YouTube. Was we are live?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says we are live. How do I get the comments on here? Chat. Let's have a look.
Let me just check.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think we are good. I'm hoping we're good. I'm hoping we're good. 2 people are watching us. It says 2 viewers. So I'm hoping we're good. Let's have a look at comments.
Oh, we are.
Yeah. Live. Thank you. Hello.
So professional.
Take 5. Me and Rob had been practicing this for like, I don't know how long. And everything was going great. And then suddenly it went a bit Pete Tong.
Yeah, he just disappeared. I was like, oh.
I am sorry, mate. I'm sorry. I've got no more comments to say who's actually in the live stream. And we've got all these other people in this other group. Have I sent another link out now? Have I confused everything?
I think so. Yeah, because it was a different link, wasn't it? So they're probably all sitting in the first chat.
You all hop on the other live, please. So sorry, I won't give up my day job.
What happened there? Did he kick you out? Because you went, go live.
Kick me out. Evening, Dave. Oh. Yeah, kick me out. Evening, Urns. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it kicked me out and it asked me to log back into StreamYard and it completely lost everything that I prepared. So everybody that's sat there is, hi, Ailey, thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, it was a bit embarrassing. So anyway, hopefully everybody will start to join us one at a time. So, yes, wait for a few more people to join us. Oh, here we are. Here we are. Evening. Everybody's
everyone's crawling over.
Everybody's crawling over, thinking, "Oh my God! I told you, I'm worse than England last week. I really am at this sort of stuff." But hopefully, people will start to come across. What's the other live? What live? Which one, Tom? Oh my God! I don't know what I've done. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they want the stream ending with Z8 in the URL, don't they? I don't know if you sent that one out.
Please just click on my icon. It should work. Fingers crossed. Right. Oh, new comments. More people. Oh,
yeah.
Lee's here. Dave is here. He's here. Evening, Alex. Yeah. Thanks, UK 20. Finally. Wow. Okay. So, evening, everybody. So, I think the first thing is to thank everybody for putting up with my horrendous start to this channel. Which I actually, Rob will hopefully back me up that I've pre-planned this. We've been on air for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And everything was going fine.
So you go live.
And literally, the minute I pressed live, you just went, no, not having it. Log back in if you want to continue, of which I did, and then it just went Pete on. So, anyway. Thanks for everybody for joining. Appreciate it was all last minute. I found out on sort of Wednesday night. Was it Wednesday night? Yeah, it's Friday night. Wednesday night that Jay unfortunately wasn't going to be available, and neither was Paul. Paul's got a few guests coming up from wherever. He's got people that he needs to wine and dine. Jay's on his first. I think Jay's gone. Yeah, Jay's gone to his first prom, so he's got picked up in a feet of 500. I've heard. He's got some purple sort of low cut number on, alternate. He's been in for the sunbed. He's got his legs waxed, I'm sure, and hopefully he'll get a kiss on the dance floor. So, hope you're well, mate. And Mosey's obviously got a lot going on at home, so he's not on at the minute. But no, Rob, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it, mate. Thanks for the support.
Thank you.
We will do what we normally do. We will acknowledge everybody that's made the effort to join us this Friday evening, no matter how much of a comedy act it is so far. So we will go through the comments and thank everybody. Urans Reef, thanks for coming in, mate. Welcome to the show. Evening for you, to you. We've got David Bensley, a constant WhatsApp chat of mine. Hope you're doing well, mate. Hope your tank's doing well. Hayley, thanks for coming in, Hayley. Thanks for joining us. Who else have we got? David, nice to see you, Dave. Hope you and the missus are doing well. And we've got the one and only. He's here. Liam, evening, mate. Hope you're doing well. UK 120, thank you very much for the support. I hope we get better as we go along. I'm sure we will. Good friend of mine, Alex Brooks. Evening, Al. Oh, all right, Dave. It wasn't my internet. It was just me. I'm a bit of a technophobe. Got it wrong. Apologies. And evening, Lee. Hope you're well, mate. We've also got NJ Reefer. Evening, buddy. And we've also got got a few more. Darren. Evening, Darren. Thanks for the kind words, and then thanks for the not so kind words in the comments. I suppose I deserve it. Rennie's Reef. Evening, Rennie's Reef. Who else? Oh, Chris Allen. Hurrah. Yes, hurrah, Chris. I am on YouTube. I know. It's only took 9 months of badgering and pestering and whatever else. But yeah, I'm here. Who else we got in there? Oh, I'm sorry, John. You were on early doors. You're on the other stream. I do apologise. Me and Rob know you were one of the first, so hats off to you.
Yeah, we did see you.
We did see you. Thanks ever so much, mate. Thanks for joining us. Tony, thanks for coming on. Yeah, I know you were on the last stream, so apologies. You are the first. Thanks for joining us. And Techers Reef, yeah, founders, thank you very much. So, evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. So, now we're doing a roll call. And I've introduced Rob. I hope everybody recognises Rob, aka Pelagic Swimmer, on Instagram, with 13 foot, we're saying, by 3.
Tank. Sorry.
Sorry.
At me. Yeah, tank is 13 foot by 3.5 by 2.5, somewhere around there.
Cool.
I do metric. 4 by 1 by 7.
You got to take.
Can everyone hear okay? Is my volume good?
Yeah, I can hear you all right. 3,000 litres?
Yeah, 3,000 litres, yeah.
So just a little bit of water, yeah?
Yeah, just a bit, yeah. Yeah, so I started with a 750 and then just thought it's too small.
Cool. And we're going to go on to it. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But, I mean, the topic of tonight is obviously we're going to talk about lessons that we've all learned in the hobby, good, bad, things that we probably shouldn't have done, idiot mistakes, etc. But you've just come back from holiday. You've been to where was it?
Well, I've been to the Maldives. It's San Sayam Oliveli. It's the actual island I went to. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I've been diving. I started diving in the 90s. So, I've done quite a bit of diving. Essentially, I only dive in the tropics because I'm a wussy southerner and I like the warmth. But to be fair, the only reason I dive is because I want to see the reefs. So that's, I don't really do any other sort of wreck diving or cold water diving, anything like that. I just go to places where I can look at reefs. So I've been doing that since the 90s, really. So I've probably been out the Maldives 12 times, I guess.
Nice.
And I went in 2022, and I've just literally come back last Saturday from my last one.
Wow. Okay. John's just saying, is it possible for Rob to turn up his volume? He's struggling to hear you. I can hear you all right, but he's saying he can hear your volume.
Right. I could just move closer to the mic, probably.
There you go. There we go. Is that better, John? Let us know in the comments, please, buddy. How long did you go for? You went for 8 days then, is that right? You said to me earlier.
This is quite a short one. Normally I go for 2 weeks, to be honest, but this is sort of last minute, unplanned, trip out there, really. Because the main holiday I was saying earlier, I was meant to go to Sulawesi, but that got postponed because the volcano erupted. So squeeze in a quick trip to the Maldives. So do you want to talk about the issues out there, or?
Well, let's talk. So you went out there, and what was the plan then? You were going out there to do some diving, obviously, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I was going out because my daughter went out there with the grandkids, and my wife was actually in Malaysia, so we arranged to meet up in Mali, the capital, and then fly out to the islands and just spend just over a week with my daughter and the grandkids and my son-in-law. So my daughter dives, my son-in-law dives, I dive. Unfortunately, my wife can't dive because she's got an ear problem. So I just thought, oh, there it is. Yeah.
Is that where you went? This is it? Have I got this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it looks like a James Bond film. Yeah.
You see the water villas sticking out in the bottom sort of left of that image. I was in one of them.
Nice.
Yeah,
very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, it's hard not to enjoy it, to be honest.
Can you imagine, mate? I can. Have you been here before then, or was it the first time you've been here? Or?
Yeah, first time in this island. Yeah, I mean that's a much bigger island than what I normally go to, but that's because my daughter went there and they got all facilities for the kids because her kids are only young, they're 2 and 4. So normally I go to a quiet, small island with no kids.
You do right. There's other people in the stream. I do apologise. I will take my hat off. I will learn from this lesson. Thanks, Scotty's Reef, for joining us. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you've found us. And Scott, thanks for joining us as well, mate. And yeah, apologies. A bit of a technical hiccup, but yeah, that's what happens when you come from Yorkshire. You don't always get
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can kill that other stream. Can you?
I will try, mate. While I'm talking to you.
So it was a new island, but I always check. Obviously, they got a good house reef and they got a dive centre on the island, which this one did have. So I was quite looking forward to seeing some good reefs and some good life out there, but wasn't quite what I was expecting, if I'm honest.
No, I think we've got a clip, haven't we? He sent me that. So see if I can share that clip. 1 second. So this is.
Have you got a clip?
Yeah, you can do it from there if you want. You do it from your end.
I'll try it. Yeah.
Evening, Christian. Thanks for joining.
No, don't let me do it now.
You do it. Well, let's see if I can do it. It's up to stage.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you pause it there, can you pause that?
Hang on. Yeah. Go.
Yeah. So that is obviously a very bleached colony.
Just a bit.
Yeah. So if you look past that colony, you can look at like the top center of the screen. They are like fungi plates that all bleached out. And then all of this sort of white on top of these. I'm not actually sure what this coral is, but there's lots of it. But it's all bleaching out on the tops. So what was slightly different between this trip and others? I mean, I've seen bleaching before, obviously, but normally it's the upper reaches of the reef. So 5 meters down to about 10 seem to get the worst hit. But these colonies, these are down at like 20 meters. And they're still bleaching out.
Wow.
So when I saw that, I thought it's going to be a bad year. And yeah, I mean, some of the reefs are just devastating, really. They were just beautiful, huge colonies just like that, just complete. And you can tell that's reasonably fresh bleached because there's no real algae growing on it.
Yeah.
But that's quite recent. But there was just tons of it. So I think that, yeah. So
you've been in this area before then, so you've seen it when it wasn't like that, or is it just a case of?
Yeah, like I said, yeah. I mean, I've been diving in there since the 90s. So the first bleaching event happened in '98, and that was a bad one. And there was another one in 2016, and it looks like this year, 2024, is going to be another really bad one. So I think the trouble is they don't come back enough in the gaps in between. So each time there's a bleaching event, it's just driven further and further back. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what I expect. I keep going back and thinking I'm going to see the reefs I saw in the 90s, but I don't think I will. So yeah, it's just, I think I was unfortunate because the hot season in the Maldives is probably February to kind of May, June time, and I went there in June, so I was right at the end of it. And the guide on the dive was a marine biologist, and he was just saying it's been absolutely devastating in the last 3 months. Don't think the water temperatures have dropped below 30.
Wow.
I mean, to be fair, when you come up, a lot of those reefs are on kind of wall, so to speak. So you drop down to like 30, and then when you come back up and you come into like the top 5 meters, it was boiling. I mean, it was like getting in a bath. So it was 30 plus. Oh. Yeah, I mean, because your dive watch tells you the temperature, and I think one of them, when I come up on the surface, it was about 33, 34 degrees in the water, and it was like, that is so warm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, yeah, I kind of, I probably won't go back, if I'm honest, because I think those reefs that I keep harking back there. Like I said to you earlier, when you go somewhere for the first time, which I did in the 90s, and I went there and I was like, this is just amazing, full of life, full of coral. It was great. I mean, there were some bleaching even back then, but it was so much better than it is now. And I guess I've spent all of those years trying to go back to what I remember being a reef when I first dived, and I've never found it. So I think I just need to, come around to the fact that I'm not going to see that again, not in my lifetime anyway. Yeah, so I think that's depressing enough. There's another way to say it, really. I can't pretty it up.
I was going to just say, has anybody in the audience got any questions for Rob that they'd like to ask him about his recent diving expedition? Please feel free to comment below before we move on. But yeah, I mean, if I were you and I'd been diving there for, they say you've been there 12 times. You've done 12 dives?
Yeah, I've been there 12 times. Yeah, I mean, I've been other places. I've done a lot. I go to Bali quite a lot. I like Indonesia. I've been to Thailand. I've been to the Barrier Reef. I've been to the Red Sea. I've been to the Med. I've been to the Florida Keys. I've done a lot around the world, and they've all just declined over my lifetime, really.
So Dave just put on there. So since you first dived, has different corals moved into areas? Have you seen anything change, anything progress, nature?
I think the just loss of diversity is one of the big things as well. It's just, I mean, you can look at that, even if you just look at the rock in that video, for example, some dive sites we'll go to, that rock is just absolutely smothered in life. And there's not a lot there, is there? So
yeah.
Wait for it to, like when it pans up. So all of that normally would be covered in, sponges and soft corals, but it's just, there's a lack of diversity there now.
Wow. Yeah. Just a bit.
Yeah. And so, the point, I guess the point I'm making is, if someone went there now and that was their first ever dive, so that's their sort of reference point for the rest of their life, they look at that and go, oh, that's what a reef looks like, because that is what a reef looks like now. But, I'm sure if I went back and spoke to someone like David Attenborough, who was on these things, of Jacques Cousteau, who were there in the 50s, they'd look at what I saw in the 90s and go, yeah, no, but that was rubbish in the 90s. You should have seen it in the 50s. It was stunning.
Yeah.
It's all, but overall, I think it's just seen a downward trend, really. And I think it's just, just pressures of everything, tourism and global warming, and you know, so the irony is that because these places are so beautiful, it attracts a lot of people, and it brings with it a whole raft of problems as well.
Yeah.
So,
what did you say to me earlier about the locals? What did they say they were doing? What was their reaction to it all?
Well, the Maldivian government have put in a directive that I think they stopped all of the construction work on any of the islands which are being refurbished, or, you know, they actually do a lot of dredging. So I think they were talking about stopping that. Sell me your Achilles, someone said. pay for another dive trip. Yeah, so they have put some you know, measures in place to try and mitigate what they can, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's acidification and ocean warming, and, you know, that's kind of out of their control, really. So they've done what little they can, but it's not really going to do a lot, I don't think.
Yeah, gutted, mate. It's definitely somewhere we'd always wanted to go as a well, let's say family, me and the missus, and I think something like that would not necessarily put me off, but I'd be good, because you go there with an expectation, don't you?
You do, yeah.
The world is normal, and fish are swimming, and the corals are thriving, and the sharks are, you know, eating people or whatever.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure certain parts are still good, but, you know, you can pick little pockets, but overall it's just, it's seen a decline. I don't think anyone's going to be that surprised by it, really. I mean, there's literally a report out today about the Barrier Reef and Lizard Island.
Crazy.
Crazy. It just looks like it's going to be a bad year for coral reefs.
It does. Just quick, I've got a few people to say hello to. Joe, thanks for joining us. Apologies again for the technical issues. Really apologise. Thank you for finding us once and for all. Nice to see you again, mate. I hope you can make it to the reefing barbecue on the 20th. Looking forward to seeing you. Rob, you've got a question here from David. He's saying, where would you advise to go? Been to Egypt. Lovely. Dog.
Dog is. Well, I was actually saying at the time, I've been to Egypt for quite a while. Last time I went, the reefs looked pretty good, but if you're saying that's otherwise, I mean, I was meant to go to Sulawesi in April, I think, but it got postponed. So I've heard that's good, and I think either later this year or maybe early next year, I'm going to go to Raja Ampat, which is also in Indonesia, I think, which I've had a lot of people say it's probably some of the best diving in the world. Do you know Tony Vargas? So he recommended it to me. Yeah. So, but I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I went to the Barrier Reef expecting it to be absolutely amazing, and the part I dove on was pretty average, to be
really?
That's been kind to it. Yeah, I've never been upset. Yeah, I went to Cairns, and I went out on a boat and dived there, and I was expecting it to be just absolutely breathtaking, and it was just very mediocre.
This is where Cairns Marine is, isn't it? If I remember right, it has a big coral importer. Importer, should I say? Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I'd imagine those people have a restricted area. It's a bit like when you go to Bali. I mean, I've dived Bali a lot, and so all of the mariculture, corals that come from Bali, they're actually between Bali and Java. So as a diver, you don't really go there.
Joe's just asking if you're related to Paul at Fish Palace. You look like his long lost twin, apparently.
I think Paul will be insulted because he's a decade younger than me.
And going back a little bit, Alex has said, is it just hard corals that have been hit? Did you see any euphilia or any of the life, or was it just the SPS sort of corals that you saw that were sort of struggling, that were dead?
Yeah, I saw very few anemones. Yeah, that's what I'm saying about the lack of diversity. You used to go there and you used to be full of euphilias, full of sponges. There's just not much there. It's just,
Wow.
Yeah. So the trouble is, once you lose the hard corals and a lot of those corals are resting places for fish, like all the chromis you see in the anthers and that. They need that hard coral, and everything else kind of builds them there. But once that's gone, they all leave basically.
And do you think that it will have I'm assuming it will. It'll have an impact on the local economy. If it's less of I suppose, not necessarily idyllic. It's always going to be idyllic with white sandy beaches, and
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean, to be fair, if you're not a diver, and even if you are a diver, most people that dive, over the years, I could probably count on one hand, to be honest, the people that you come back on the dive after dive, and they would go, that plating coral was stunning, or not stunning, on that. Did you see the size of that parietic? They just kind of like the visual spectacle. Most people like the fish.
Yeah.
So they don't. So they comment on the fish. And most people want to see sharks, and they want to see whale sharks, manta rays, dolphins, all the big stuff. And then, whatever's on the reef, the anthers, and that look amazing when there's massive shoals of them. But, people are actually looking at corals. It's very rare indeed.
So you've been away for just over a week. How did you manage to, I suppose, keep on top of your 3,000 litre system in your absence? How did that work? How did you keep it out?
Yeah, so my son feeds the tank. So basically he feeds the tank and cleans the glass, and essentially that is all he has to do, really. Most of the tasks are automated. Basically for that reason, because the one thing about this hobby is it makes it difficult to enjoy holidays knowing you got a massive commitment sitting back in your house. I'll be lying if I said, I don't sit on my phone and look at the camera and check the tank, and I don't look at my apex to see what's happening. I do.
And pH and alkalinity.
Yeah. So I do that. But yeah, so most of the dosing, it's all done with dosing pumps. Some of the food is done by dosing pumps. So basically it's just, if I can get someone to feed the tank, clean the glass. I mean, the glass cleaning is, it's not that important, is it? But I just like to, when I look on the camera, I like to be able to sit in the tank. So I've asked him to clean the glass. So it's pretty, I mean, I'm like every fish keeper. When you go, it's pretty straightforward, and then you run through to someone who's not, and they just go, Christ, that sounds very complicated. And you just go, no, it's not really. But so I just get it down to the minimum of, I feed nori in the morning, 2 sheets of nori, one at each end of the tank, so that whole tank can't bully the rest of the fish. And then I just feed frozen twice a day. And then I've got a little also feeder that does pellets like midway through the day. And then I've got a fridge which dispenses like liquid copepods. Probably I think I've set it up. I think it does 4 a day. I mean, it does a very small amount, but that's mainly just for the anthers and, the small fish, because the tanks don't really eat it. But I just like to feed them throughout the day, really, like the anthers, because they seem to do better. That's it, really.
So what did you do when you got back? Have you done a water change recently? Because you fuse an IBC. Is that right? Is that what I've seen?
Yeah. So what I do with my water, I've got 2 IBCs, so I can mix up 2,000 litres, and it's outside of my fish room. So it's just whatever the ambient. I mean, it's in a. Yeah, it's not exposed to the elements, but it's not heated in a room, but it is enclosed. And then I pump it up into the fish room, and I've got I think it's 350 or 400 litre barrel that sits in the corner of a fish room. And I put it in there, and then it just gets heated to the ambient temperature of the fish room, which is normally about 25, 26. So I don't have to pay to heat the water, basically. I just heat the room.
How many buckets of salt goes in the IBC then?
I do, if I'm doing both of them, it's 80 kilos of salt. I buy it, the 20 kilo boxes of tropic marine. Yeah, so I normally buy those.
Wow.
Yeah, so one IB, put 1,000 litres of RO and I chuck in 40 kilos of tropic marron and it brings it up to the right salinity. So cheap as chips.
It sounds like it. Wow, and after that, I spent a lot on my tank. Christ. Well, I want to talk to you more about your tank. Obviously, you're going to come on hopefully on the channel and talk to me about it. Go through a few more bits, but no, thanks for that. So we're going to talk about the main topic of the day, which is going to be lessons that we've learned in the reefing hobby over the years. So I would appreciate if the audience and viewers watching tonight could talk about, all jokes aside, some of the biggest lessons that we've all learned. I'm sure we've got plenty of embarrassing moments to share, but I think for me, honesty is the key on this one, because if it's something you share, every chance might not make the same error, should I say? But what about you, Rob? Anything that you can say straight off the cuff, straight off the bat, that you wish you'd not done over the years, or thought?
When I was thinking about it earlier, I haven't got any like major catastrophic events that I've wiped out a tank but I've made just numerous stupid little, and I still make them. I think about 2 or 3 months ago, I walked into the fish room and my calc stirrer had stopped. So because I don't clean it out as often as I should, I guess, when I top it up with calc, I don't even turn it off. I just lift the top up quick, and I get a little ramekin dish, and I chuck in some, and then I put the thing back on again. And that's it. So I don't turn off the pump, I don't turn off the stir, I don't turn off anything. I'll just whack in. But if I put too much in, what happens is it settles out at the bottom and it gets quite solid and it stops the stirrer. Yeah.
I've got that problem.
Yeah. That's it. So the stirrer stops and you can hear it because it's got like a clutch in the top of the motor, isn't it? And you can hear it clicking, man. So I've popped in the fish room. I was out somewhere with the wife and I went, I've just got to check on something. Can't remember what it was. I came down my steps and I could hear it clicking. So I've gone, So I've lifted the top up. I've plunged my arm in and I've stirred the bottom to get it going. And I put the top back on and I've kitchen rolled all my arm off. And I've just glanced up at the tank. And I honestly, my head went, why is the tank all cloudy?
The pH is gone.
Yeah. It's like, it's just like, and I just went, you absolute swat. So I do lots of, silly things like that.
Oh dear. I've done something like that before. Scott's put on, don't buy R&R aquascapes. Yeah, lesson learned there for me. So man-made rock, it leached, if you can remember, it leached for about, what was it? Best part of, I'd say, 5-6 months. Phosphate, silicates, and whatever else that came out of it.
Ceramic? Is that ceramic or?
Yeah, ceramic. The skate behind it. But I didn't have the hitchhikers, so I didn't have necessarily a headache there. Would I do it again? Probably not. Could I have achieved the rockscape as nice as I wanted in live rock? Scott's going to say yes, because he does a very good job at them. I would say probably no, because I'm not very good. But yeah, each their own. But yeah, fair comment there, Scott. Fair comment, mate. Every day's a learning day. This moment in time, changing my tank has done me in. Diatoms are killing me off slowly in the new sand. I think I'm in a stage for blackout for 2-3 days. Yeah. Don't like diatoms. Not my friend.
No fun, are they?
They're not, fortunately. But I think going through these little things, it sounds cheesy, I know, but it sort of makes you a bit stronger and makes you a little bit more knowledgeable, resistant to the next tank and the next tank.
Yeah, I think the take-home message is everyone goes through it, don't they? No one escapes all of these things.
No, definitely not. UK 120. Trying to remember when 100%. Yeah. We, fortunately, I've got a concrete floor in this house that we live in now, hence the tank behind me. And if it wouldn't have been that, I can honestly tell you that my floorboards would be well and truly rotten from me leaving my RO machine on in the downstairs toilet before it went to the garage outside. The amount of times I've walked downstairs on a Saturday morning, Sunday morning, bleary-eyed, and put my foot in a wet patch because it's been leaking out the downstairs toilet, you would not believe. And how I'm still engaged, I do not know. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's one of my problems is I still think I'm able to multitask, and yet I'm consistently reminded by things I mess up that I can't. I mean, literally the other day I was filling up my salt barrel like in the fish room. So I pump it up. I've got a big, like a flexible hose. Normally I just fix it so I can get on with stuff. This particular day, I have no idea why. I was holding it with my hands and I was just daydreaming like you do, just staring at the tank, daydreaming. And then my brain went, oh, you need to do that. And I got my phone out and I just let go of the hose to go to do my phone. So now I pumped all of this fresh salt water. It went literally everywhere. So it went all over my MP60 controller, all over my aircon unit, sprayed all over the lights. And I thought, I've had a very lucky escape there because none of them blew. I thought, just by doing that, if they'd had all gone, I've just done $2 grand worth of damage in about 30 seconds, just because I thought I could multitask. It's just.
Well, I did a water change today, so I take a hose pipe from here, and he's not on tonight, Drippy, but he did it with me the other week. So you're probably talking 3 or 4 meters to my patio. There's a manhole. Put it down there. So I literally take off. I've got an old 25-litre drum that I use as a measuring guide. I take off 8 to 10 barrels, so 150, 200 litres as a measuring. Took it out. Everything was great. And then next thing I know, it was still siphoning through because I've not taken the pipe out. So I'm on the phone and I'm thinking, it's not good. I'm sure the water level's not going up. Water level's not going up. So it works out. I took out about another 1,500 litres because I'm not here, basically.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I'm making is, don't matter how long you've been in the hobby, you still make stupid
mistakes.
Tim's put in, always have spares in case something breaks. Couldn't agree with you more, mate. Pump heaters for me. Definitely heaters.
Yeah.
Are you, Rob? Anything you have spare redundancy?
Well, I tried to build in as much as I could on this tank, to be honest. So I run like 2 returns, and then I've plumbed the return lines so I can flick a valve and then one pump can do both returns. So if one pump fails, I've still got 2 returns that can go. I've got 3 heaters. All 3 are on separate controllers. Just things like that, and just I've got lots of different power heads. I think probably the best thing I did, even though I rarely used it, is the battery backup. So the battery backup, auto switching, so I don't need to be there. I don't have to worry about the power goes out. All of the main infrastructure in my tank will still run. So the return pumps, the skimmers, the heaters. Probably they very rarely come on, but they're plugged in. It's just like basically it does all of the. I don't know if anyone's seen my fish room, but I've got like a sump room below the tank, and all the filtration is plugged in down there. So the whole of that room is powered by a battery backup, which just auto switches if the power goes off, and it should give me. I think with everything on, it should give me about 24 hours. It just gives me peace of mind. I mean, I don't get power cuts. But my head went, if I don't fit it, I'll get one. Just say,
you shouldn't be playing with God like that. You never know these days. I think we had 3 up here in the space of a couple of months, but that was horrendous.
Oh, really?
Well, I had the generator. I had the generator, the petrol, but I didn't have the connectors, so I was no use, no ornament. So I had to go to screw fix it 7 o'clock in the morning and get the connectors. So lesson learned for me. What's Liam putting? Just being complacent and not dipping corals or falling behind, being lazy with testing. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not bad at the corals. I mean, the last big sort of coral input into my tank, I did a tank breakdown, and I probably had 50 odd corals from it was a Red Sea 750 or 650, the peninsula. And you do like 30 and it gets a bit boring and you get tempted to just go, but in the end I mean, when I first started the tank, I quarantined everything. But you know, as time goes on, you get a bit slack, a bit lapsy-daisy.
I agree. But, like Liam said, with the testing as well, I think you can sometimes say to yourself, well, everything looks all right, so it's all right. And I think, you know, from experience, you've just got to force yourself to have that routine, whether it's the water, whether it's just testing, you know, nutrients, alkalinity, whatever it is. As long as you make yourself do it, it's sort of.
I think that's what happens, isn't it? Because if you have a tank for like 2 years and you test, like, say, every Monday and your nitrate's always 5, brain goes, you're wasting your time, because next week you're 5, and then you go, oh, I'll skip and I'll do it monthly. Then you do it like 20. Yeah, and then you just go, oh, I haven't done it for like 9 months, and you go in there and it's 60.
Yeah,
and you're wondering why your back wall's covering algae or whatever. So I think you're right. I mean, the testers do help, like automatic testers, but even those, I still manually test.
Yeah, I'm
against my test.
Yeah, I'm still a bit on the fence because I almost want to prove AI is not right.
I mean, I've tried them for whenever they first came out, 4 years is that now, and I've got to say it's been amazing. It's not really missed a beat. I buy the reagents now from Jonas, you know, the ABC guy in the States.
Oh,
so I've been using that for probably a year, 18 months. And it saves an absolute fortune. And so I just, probably once a month, I will check like all 3 of those with a manual calibrated test just to see. But, you know, it's been good.
Good. What else we got in here? First flood my kitchen with my new RO machine. Oh, really? Unlucky. Yeah, easily done, Daz.
Yeah. I mean, I bought my RO machine, but I've got I think it does 1,500 litres in like a day, 24 hours, I guess. Yeah. And I hate them. I hate RO machines. I hate changing the DI resin on them as well. But the first one I got, I don't know why, but they brought it. I bought it and it all came like complete. And I thought, oh, that's brilliant. Literally just got to put the 2 tubes in and I'm done. But no, all the stuff inside is still wrapped with like film. So you have to you have to take it all apart. And then I found out I had to put the actual, it's like a 2 membrane, it's pumped, 2 pumps and 2 big membranes. And you have to like push them in. They're almost like a bayonet, you know, like the light bulbs. You have to sort of push it and turn it. I forced mine in because I was going, I can't get it. And I just mangled the whole end. I turned it on and it just pissed water everywhere, just like a shower. I was going, Christ. And then I pulled it out and it was just wrecked. So I threw them straight in the bin there to buy more. I was like, oh, that's a good start.
My pre-filters, I have on the 20 inch pre-filters. Yeah, it's not nice because I've got this, the spanner that you use to turn it up to unscrew them. And I don't know why, but it always seems to be sort of like, I tend to do it in the morning when I'm half asleep and I'm doing it and I always miss. I scrape my knuckles.
Oh, you do knuckles, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah, it's not the most enjoyable experience. Anyway, what else have we got? What other comments have we got? Yeah. John puts his RO system in the bath, so he's never had a wet floor.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, good idea. Good idea. Lee, take care. Wear gloves and wash hands after messing in a tank. There's some nasty stuff, polytoxins. Yeah, I know he had a bad one. To be fair, I had a bad experience with some polys a long time ago, and it was a lesson learned to not mess with them, even though they weren't the nicest looking corals. NG Reefer, don't go chasing numbers. When I was new to the hobby, doing this without any real experience treated me to a battle of dinos it took forever to get rid of. I think a lot of people can fall for chasing numbers, wouldn't you say? these days? Everybody following
I think you get bombarded with it, don't you? That's why, you watch all YouTube videos, Instagram posts, and there's a lot of numbers bandied about.
I always keep saying about a range. I'm happy with a range. If it's here, if it's there, I think you get away with it as long as you've got some, and not too much of most things. You'll get along with it. But yeah, I think chasing numbers can get a bit dangerous. I mean, I can remember when Triton first came out in 2014, 2014. It's all about how can it about this and refusions and this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden I was more bothered about my parameters than I was about my fish and keeping everything happy. And don't get me wrong, I think you've got to get the right balance. But like I've learned with this system behind me, if the fish are happy, the tank's happy. And I know you're a fisherman, aren't you? More than most.
Yeah, I'm a fisherman, really. I try to get inspired and into corals, and I don't mind them, but it's the fish that I don't think many people get in this hobby for sticks originally. I think most people migrate towards that as they get further in. But I find it's like when I have people in the probably the same as you, Tom. When people come in their house that are not reefers, they never look at the stick and go, "That's amazing." They're always going to look at bubble tips. They're going to look at xenia. They're going to look at torches. They're going to look at it, and they're going to look at your fish. They won't even notice. I had two guys. They come and fitted the electric meter, and they were asked if they could come and look at my tank. And out of everything in my tank, they liked the green torch. I thought it was absolutely, just like it's probably one of the cheapest things in the tank. It does look great. I mean, it's neon green. It's bright green and it waves. And they're going, "Oh, that's amazing. What's that?" And I'm going, "Oh, what about that chalice down there, though? What about that fish?" And they're going, "No, that's amazing." So that's the realities of people that are not reefers when they look at your tank. They don't really care about sticks.
They don't. All right, what else have we got here? Joe says, not getting your lights right, listening to the wrong advice. Thank goodness we saw Scott's. He sorted us out. Oh, that's off Scott. So yeah, I think there's that many these days. There's that much technology with that many variants. I mean, we were talking earlier about. I mean, I know you've been in hobby a lot longer than I have, but my mum got me into the hobby in the early 90s. Well, we had a tank. The light was on or off, and you were on about something. I think you think about this day and age, it's controlled by one of these and whatever else.
Yeah. When I was saying earlier that my dad had a tank in 1977. He set his tank up.
Wow.
So I was 12, and I was just saying the light was just a day glow light. There was no actinics. There was nothing. It was just that white light, strip light, and he ran a ton of ozone. And as you were saying, you could take the coral out and bleach it in Domestos, give it a good rinse, put it back in the tank, and everything looked very stark white. The only fish that kind of survived were humbug damsels, which would just be absolutely brutal to anything else you try to add in a tank. And it was just a long succession of death, really. Not much lived in it. But
I remember one of the first LFSs I went to for live rock, and I mean live rock as in AKA live rock.
Yeah.
It used to have an abundance of humbug damsels in it.
Yeah.
Because everywhere people used to upload them because they were horrible fish, and they used to just put them
chuck them in with the live rock. Yeah.
With the live rock. Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, to be fair to Joe, it's a fair point. I think if you there's that many. I think sometimes the technology, I think for most people can be overwhelming and can confuse people. And I mean that's why I like the coral cares, because it is literally it was made by a reefer, and as daft as it sounds, and it's a very simple program. But some of the others can be a bit complicated. But each to their own. And I think again, it's part of the journey. Being a bit of a reefer, you've got to make these mistakes and learn from these things to understand more about
very kind of hands off with a lot of the techies I mean, I've got the Radian lights, which you can do loads of stuff with. My setting up of my lights was I'm going to pick AB plus template, Bosch, done it across all the lights, set the intensity. They come on at, I think they come on at 7:30, they go off at 7. And I've other than the fact they drive me absolutely insane because some come on at weird times, and I've got one of those love-hate relationships with Radians. I got to the point where I needed to just skip a lot of them and just change lights. And like Mobius app used to drive me insane. But now, but I don't touch them now. I don't touch the spectrum. I don't touch the intensity. I don't do anything. I just leave them.
If you don't, in case something goes wrong.
Well, this is it, yeah. And I just think if they work, just leave them alone.
Leave them alone.
Controls are adapted, aren't they, to whatever the light is?
Definitely. Tony's saying one of the lessons he's learned is Tony, tank wipeout, forgot to switch air supply back on after maintenance. Oh dear. Fish lesson learned.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
We had a heater go years ago, one of our old systems, and it literally just boiled the tank, and I think it was only clownfish that survived. So I feel your pain on that one, mate. Definitely. Evening, Carl. Thanks for joining us.
All right, Carl.
What have we got here? Don't pick up a Red Sea 170 tank sump on your own and stand on some boards on my own. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think that has got to be one of the biggest negatives of our hobby is moving fish tanks. Because let's be honest, the majority, unless you've got a nano, the majority weigh an absolute ton.
Yeah.
My old 625 Red Sea, I don't know how we moved it in. It must have been the adrenaline and all the excitement of getting it in during COVID when I brought it in 4 or 5 years ago. But when it came to moving it out, oh my Lord. Yeah. You look at a glass, you think that's not going to be very heavy. You start to move it back.
Yeah, they are insanely heavy, aren't they?
Yeah, just a bit. What else have we got? How are you getting me to read through comments, catch and wet form. Make sure you fit any siphons when you make sure you fit any. Oh yes, very laugh out loud. So lesson learned or stupid mistakes made. So I can't believe you called me out on this week on my first ever live. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it.
That's what friends are for, Tom.
Really, really well right now. I'll go back, mate. So I started the Calclasser last week. Last weekend. Yeah, I'm sure it was last weekend. Got the P8. I've got 2 P8 Pros. I've got the Reef Factory one, and I've got the Apex one. So I like to run 2, so I like to compare them both, just to make sure that there's nothing in it, abnormality. Excuse me. And everything was great for a couple of days. Did a water change, and after did the water change, couldn't figure out why my pH was dropping. So I run my Calquas. So the way I run Calquas, I run it on the reverse life cycle of my tank. So I've always found it's more beneficial to run it at night. So when the lights come down, Calquas comes on, and basically bends the curve. So I'm getting IPA in the night. Yeah,
you're flattening the curve. Yeah,
flattening the curve. Exactly. That's what I've always done. So I'm doing that, and 8-9 o'clock, I get up in the morning. I'm thinking, well, yesterday my pH was 8.3, and today my pH is 8.15. It's dropping. I'm like, so I'm cranking it up. This is the stepper, the Kamoa, stepper motor. Yeah. So I'm increasing the dosage, and it's just going down. What's going on? Yeah. So I didn't pick anything of it. Last Friday, Drippy Ryland, Drippy Reef Geek came up today, as you saw on Instagram, and We did the water change. And obviously, I'm trying to check the salinity. So I'm checking the salinity of this, make sure that the vat I'm mixing in the garage is the same salinity. So I use the Milwaukee, and he's using the ATO, which you can't see because I put the cabinet on. He's used the ATO compartment, which is obviously RO, to zero the refractometer or the salinity checker. It said my tank was 1.013. So me and him are just this should be upside down. This isn't right. What's going off? Blah 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 blah. So I'm like. So then I got my refractometer, and he was like, "Yeah, it's off." So anyway, I'll try. This is a long story. I apologise, everybody. I'll try and shorten it. So basically, what had happened is when I turned my both my return pumps off, like anybody's, your sump will rise. Yeah. So what was happening was my new jet pump that is in my ATO, and hopefully you understand where I'm going here right now. The pipe from my ATO that goes into my sump didn't have a siphon on it, or an anti-siphon on it. Yeah, like Lee's put in a one-way valve, whatever. So my salt water was going back into my RO as my water level was increasing. I hope this makes sense to people who are watching. Should do. So what that means is when my calculator is pulling RO from my RO that isn't RO, it's salt. It's salt water. Hence my pH is at what it should be. So when I tested the salinity of my calculator, it was 0.25, not 0. So hence why we were using the RO water as a reference solution that wasn't RO water, it was salt water. Well, diluted salt water. So 14 years in, and I'm still making complete apples to this day. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, well, you worked it out. You worked it out in the end.
Yeah, but do you know what the scariest thing is? Is years ago, I guarantee you, years and years ago, I'd have thrown a half a bucket of salt in that, going, "Oh my God, my salinity is way too low. What am I doing?"
Yeah, you're right, actually. Yeah, that is one of those things you don't react as quick as you do when you're first in the hobby, do you?
So yeah, I was quite relieved that a little bit of an intuition there on that one.
You got an anti-siphon on it now, then?
No, it's coming. It's coming. Right. Tim's put what's he put? Not having a power meter.
That's one of my gripes about lights, to be honest. You know, you spend thousands of pounds on a light, and then everyone goes, "Oh, you need to get your power between 250, 350, 500 at the top, whatever it is." And then you can't get a par meter for love nor money, really. I mean, I've got an Apogee one, but they're just stupid amounts of money, really. And I've used it, once. I set my lights, I set them what I want, and it sits on top of a cupboard. I go to other reefers' house if they want me to measure their par for them. I'm more than happy to do that. But I just think, with the tech we've got today, there's got to be a better way, surely, isn't there? When you're paying 400, 500, 600, 800 quid for a light, and you have no idea what intensity is when you turn it on.
Yeah, you think so? I mean, one of the things that shocked me recently was, Christian, we went the other day, group of us, to see Christian Signature, and he's a big advocate of leaving your frags on a frag rack for 6 weeks, which is like really, from
a light acclimation, you mean?
From an acclimation point of view, yeah.
But I mean, you're unless you've got a par meter, you're doing it all blind, aren't you? Really, So it just seems.
I think you're right. I think if you're gonna, for me, I think if you're testing everything else, you should be able to test light. But I also think that this should be a lot more affordable. I mean, I know people get the Senai one, but I've also heard that there's a lot of people that have used it that say it's nowhere near as good as I've got the Apogee, you've got the Apogee. ITC do one. That you can plug into a laptop that's not meant to be 3 bad either.
But I know it'd be a very crude figure, but I don't understand why most reef tanks, water clarity wise, there's not a massive discrepancy between most tanks you look at. You don't go to someone's house and there's no visibility. You can't see the back of the tank. You can't see from the top to the bottom. Most tanks are 600 mil deep.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't understand why a manufacturer can't give you, you know, a ballpark figure and say, right, if you've got your light 300 mil above the water surface and your intensity is 50, your rough par values will be bosh. I don't understand why they can't. I mean, maybe they do, but I'm pretty sure they don't.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying they're going to be super accurate, but they're going to give you some idea. You know, if you want to push it to 60, they'll be this. If you want to bring it down to 40, they'll be there. You know,
it's one of those that a lot of people just it's a suck it and see exercise. I think for me, rule of thumb is start at the bottom and work your way up. For safety, you know.
Yeah, but it's just, you know, whenever you go to the shop and they go, you want to put that high flow highlight. Well, that doesn't mean anything, does it? That's, you know, it's such a generic statement to make. There's no value to it at all, you know, because my highlight could be 600 par. Someone else's idea of highlight could be 300 par. You know, that's double.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just find it weird. You know, you spend, and you know, lights are probably one of the most expensive bits of kit you buy.
You're probably touching on one of my bugbears, and the topic of lessons learned is to not listen to everything you are told in this hobby.
Yeah.
And include shops. I'm not going to mention any, you know, but that includes shops. The amount of things that I've witnessed, heard, and I've followed, rightly and wrongly, as anybody would, and I'm no Snow White, you know, I'm not saying anybody's not going to make any mistakes, but yeah, it's just confusing. And I think sometimes you can listen to too many people, you can go down too many different avenues.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the most easiest mistakes that you can make, especially as a new hobbyist. There's such a wealth of information. It's almost, I mean, to be fair, I don't want to dig out particular areas, but that's why I don't really like forums. I find forums just a difficult concept to ask and get a specific answer to a question, because you'll have to troll through multiple. Are we allowed to swear on here? Multiple rubbish answers, you know, to get someone who actually knows what they're talking about and to answer your question. Because often you'll ask a question like, I mean, the classic would be something on a disease on a fish. You know, you'll post a picture of your fish and go, do you think that's ick? And you'll go from everything from it's got the plague to, you know, I can't believe you bought that fish, but they won't actually answer the question.
Yeah.
And it just makes it very difficult, you know, especially if you're new, to navigate simple questions and get a simple answer. But yeah, so I think the answer, I mean, for me, I just picked a very, very small number of people to follow. I look at their tanks. I like their tanks. I listen to what they say. It makes sense to me. And, you know, I mean, I like listening, you know, I'm like everyone else. Well, I'm probably more than other people because I've got a lot of time, as you said earlier. I don't do a lot. So I've got a lot. I've got a lot of time to digest a lot of information, and you know, and I do a lot of reading into this hobby. I watch a lot of people on YouTube. You know, I like Than from Tyler Gardens, for example, Chris Meckley from ACI.
So, yeah,
but I love watching them, and I like to digest the information. But I will not be implementing what they do on a coral farm into my display tank, because it's two completely different, you know, things. Yeah. And I'm not running a coral farm. I'm running a display tank. I don't want to supercharge my corals so they grow like shit, and I've got to be fragging them every 2 weeks because I don't want to sell corals. That's not why I'm in the hobby. Yeah, which is fair enough. So you will employ slightly different techniques to me. I like my corals to grow really slow, if I'm honest.
I think when it comes to, I think the lesson I've learned when it comes to advice is, and it sounds a little bit ballsy to say this, but I almost feel like saying to whoever's saying, "Oh, you need to do this," well, show me your tank, you know. It's like a bit of a statement to make. But if you're telling me to change what I've been doing for years and it works, blah blah, well, show me, you know, show me.
Right. Yeah.
Give me the money. You know?
Yeah, I mean, this is a classic hobby where the proof is in the pudding, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Show me why you do it, and show me how you benefited, because there's too many people out here that give advice that don't even have a bloody a salty wet box. Excuse my phrase.
Yeah, no, I know entirely what you're saying, and I like to ask questions and I gauge a person on their answers. If I'm honest,
Yeah.
I mean, I get quite a lot of, I'm not going to say stick, but I get people because I've got a doctorate degree and a PhD and I've published and I've done all of this stuff. None of it is related to this hobby, but some of science is translatable. So some of the techniques I can bring across, just the methodology of things, I can bring it across. But I've had a lot of people just go, well, your tank looks like that because you've got a PhD and you're a doctor, and I'll just go, it's just completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't really, it's just slightly annoying. And that's why I don't use my title. I don't want it. I just want it.
This has got to be one of the bitchiest hobbies on the planet I've ever known.
Yeah, people can be funny, can't they? Yeah.
They can. Right, a couple more comments. Tim, back again. He's saying, taking a glass heater out of the tank and trying to cool it down in cold water. Yeah, guess that doesn't work very well. Okay.
Yeah. What was the rush then? Why was you in a rush to cool it?
Thanks, Joe. People watching, thanks ever so much for the support. Appreciate it. Scott come back to say, I use the Parwise. Definitely better than the 2000 S-Tech Senai, but 10 to 20% out compared to the Apogee. That's interesting to know. Yeah.
I mean, you can work with it if you know the percentage.
Well, it's your range, though, isn't it? Definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
What's Tim gone on to say? The problem with PAR, every tank is different. Unless you have a PAR meter, you will never know. Yeah, again, depth.
Yeah, they are different, but they're also similar.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm pretty sure you could get a range that would be within acceptable parameters to grow most things.
And when you test your PAR, do you turn the power heads off so it's flat, the water?
No.
You don't? See, I always got told that you should do that to get an accurate measure, but then I always thought, well, is it accurate because you never have your water flat because you always have your power heads on? So I'm always like, anyway.
Yeah, because it's not accurate, is it?
No, but I told the accurate way to get the actual reading of PAR is when the water is flat.
Because you're changing the thing you're measuring and then changing it back. Yeah. I mean, no, I don't turn anything off. I literally have it where the coral sits with the flow and the lights as they are. And that's how I measure.
Scott's going to say, I find Spectrum is king over PAR. Some will argue different, but I let my experience keep mine on track. Going to get 400 PAR with any light, only running blues. Good rule of thumb, blue Spectrum. Well, I prefer a white Spectrum, but I'm just a bit weird. I'm more of a natural light. I like blues at night.
I think the thing with blues is they do wash out the colours of the fish. They might make the corals pop, but often they make your fish look pretty drab. So the white light is very good for making your fish look good.
What's your sequence on the system at home where you are then? Blues, whites. What you're running?
I use the AB Plus, so it's pretty blue to be honest.
Yeah,
it is pretty blue. But I mean, like I said, I just set the template AB Plus. I think my intensity is at about 65%. I can't remember now. It just ramps up, ramps down. I mean, it's very simple. I think I've got an hour ramp and an hour ramp down. And I think a peak, like a 2-hour peak at 65 during the day. I think other than that, it sits about 50, 55. I mean, Paul AAC keeps telling me I should probably run less lights to save some electricity. He reckons I don't need
it. But you're powering like wherever you live. You must be like the minute you turn your lights on, there must be somebody in a power station pulling a lever down.
Well, I've got the smart meter as well, so it tells me. So yeah. So I wake up in the morning, I've done about £4, and then as the day goes on, it just. I mean, it's a lot better than it was. I mean, when that energy first went up, I was actually close to going. I've got to shut this down. It just got ridiculous.
Wow. Well,
I guess that could probably be in one of the things. Like I was saying to you earlier, it's very easy to order a tank when you just sit on the phone and you just go, I want it as big as I can get it, without actually thinking the repercussions of having it. Because it's not even it's not even just the daily cost of running it, but it's the things that are completely out of your control, like the energy crisis we had, and the bills just went astronomical. And when you've committed, you built a whole fish room and you've ordered a tank and it's sitting there and you got like 19 lights sitting over it. Well, I've got 20 lights actually. And then you just get your energy bill and you just go, Jesus, that's like a mortgage payment.
What do we have in the garage at the fish house? A couple of years ago, I think we had 5 T5s and an aircon unit, and I don't mean a portable aircon. I mean a fixed aircon unit.
Fixed one, yeah. They're expensive to run.
It was so expensive, and it was just like, I need to call this. I need to time out.
Yeah,
that's where LEDs all day long LEDs, and a lot of the technology these days, pumps, everything else, heaters and gizmos, toys, whatever, they run on so little wattage that you can get away with a lot of it these days.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Most of the other stuff, it is the lights really. Even the LEDs, they still pull a fair bit.
What's got a thing? Can't cut corals as most off-shelf lights, sunset power and sunset blues. What pushover? Something a photon of light energy, so to stick to it. To be fair, that is something I've never really dug into, the gubbins of lighting. I think over the last few years I've realised that flow is probably more important than lighting, but lighting obviously is a supplement that everything needs, fish included in that. But
yeah, like I say, I kind of set and forget my lights really, but yeah, I'm obsessed with flow. Absolutely obsessed.
No, me too. More now than ever. I think it's probably 4th, 5th system. I can honestly say that flow now for me is, especially with sticks and some of the fish prefer it. I think it's healthier for me. It's like a treadmill, isn't it? It's an invisible treadmill. Fish, in a sense. It's for them.
Yeah, I've got plenty of flow in that tank, but the tangs love it. Especially the Achilles. He does like to ride the flow, and he can swim straight into an MP60 at reef crest 100%. No trouble at all.
What's Lee putting? Totally agree. Well, that's why mine's more white. Fish look loads better. Blue light is more just to make them Blue's pH dropped. Tom saw last week. Yeah, I did, and it's one of those, isn't it? You have a fish tank because you want it to look how you want it to look.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of flowers on a table or a painting on the wall or whatever. You want it to look how you want it to look. So, if you're happy, that's it.
Well, the other thing is, every single person has got a slight different color detection. So, exactly. You can look at the same thing and two people see different things, right? Different colors on it. So you need to set it to your own sort of what you want.
But the sun is not blue. I will say that.
Very true.
That's all I will say. I'm so glad I've got the energy deal I've got. I was getting far too expensive at the moment. It's turning into a rich man's. Yeah, £98 for 25. Yeah, it is getting expensive. I will give you that, Liam. And
£98.
Yeah,
is that how much it is?
In his LFS, that's what he's saying. I've no reason to think he's not telling the truth for my good friend Liam. So that's
a lot of money, isn't it?
Yeah. And again, then you've got your RO, your membranes, your DI, your time. It's expensive.
That's one of the other things I'm saying. As I've progressed in the hobby, I've migrated away from using like proprietary mixed sort of consumables. Really, the hardware you've got to have lights, you've got to have a return pump, but those costs of just week in, week out, dosing your alk, doing your traces, it's like I was saying to you earlier. They don't scale up when you have a big tank, because they just become prohibitively expensive. So I'm just trying to think what I actually buy, which is pre-made. Part of it is because I'm too lazy to do it myself, and that'd be the trace elements that I buy from Tropic Marine. I could make them myself. I know I could. I think there's 19 of them. They do the catons and the ions, and they mix them in two. Like I buy the 5 litre, but they're 240 quid, I think. So they're not cheap.
Wow.
But the other stuff, like the calc, I just buy calcium hydroxide. I buy the sodium hydroxide. I just buy it online in a big bag, and it's so cheap. So I think that's the lanthanum I buy online as well for the phosphates. Yes, I think I only actually buy trace elements.
Evening, Ryland. Evening, Slag. I hope you're well. Yeah, plenty within the first 10 minutes. Meal, fruit. You watch it back; it will be very entertaining.
Yeah, I'm surprised Jay hasn't. He'd messaging you later, won't he, about being late for your first live stream.
He's too busy on the dance floor right now getting his first kiss. Trust me. The sun is not blue, but water filters out various wavelengths of light, hence blue water. Fair point.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point. Good to see Rob in the chair. Yeah, thanks for having you on. The sun isn't blue, the sea is, and that's the filter. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Just saying. Their excuses, they had a pallet of it and they've stuck the cost, if said pallet shipping on top, where you got Claudia from top. Like, oh, right, okay, yeah, Bortry Aquatics, yeah. They like to make a few quid out of people. Anyone comment? Come on.
What salt do you use anyway? Do you use Tropic Marine or do you use something else?
Well, I've just moved on to, I've moved on to Fauna. So I'm trying to stick to one brand, because if you looked in my cupboard of cupboards, it's like some wizards, like Harry Potter sort of. I don't know what you
I think going on. Him,
yeah, we've all got those, and I just think that if you're going to one company for your ICP and they're giving you advice, and I've been to one not so long ago, and I'm not going to mention names, but people probably know I'm referring to. It's absolute shite. So I'm moving away from that in a different direction. And for some reason,
the ICP was giant.
Yeah, and you go and buy all these little bottles that are really, really watered down, that never even come up detected on your ICP. Not mentioning names. So I'm moving away from that now, and I'm going back to the Germans, because they make very good cars, and they grow very good acros and do very good marine systems and pumps and whatever else and lighting. And I'm just going to stick to one brand for now and see what happens. And it might go wrong. I just think, for me, it's just like, I just think that, again, topic of tonight, lessons learned. Don't, run before you can walk. Don't jump from one to the other. Give something time to let it work before you decide whether you need to change it. All that sort of thing for me.
Yeah. I mean, they're all pretty much a variation just on the bowling method, aren't they? All of these things, really. At the end of the day, you've got to replace what your coals are taking out. But
who's more bothered about your tank and who's more bothered about their till?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Is what I would say on that, and I get it's a business, and, I've got my own business and you've got to pay your overheads and blah, blah, blah. But I think if you're a true reefer, whether you've got a brand behind you or, whatever, it's for you want to create a product that benefits people, not just creates people to then need to go out and buy more products to for your wallet.
Yeah.
Oh, buy this, and it's going to help you. It's going to help you, but it's also going to rip out all this other stuff. So then you're going to have to buy all this more stuff off me. Well, really? You know?
Yeah.
It's going to be a long time to realise that there's plenty of that around in this hobby, unfortunately. You know?
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Some of it is just very expensive for what it is.
Yeah, well, buy this and it takes this out and it puts this in, but you don't want that. So then buy this and it takes that out and it puts this in, and then buy that and you're missing this and you're missing that. And send your ICP up, and those bio balls I've sold you to take that out, and blah 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 blah. And before you know it, you've spent thousands, and you know further forward than just
chasing your own tail.
Well, should have just done a water change. End off.
Yeah. Yeah, which is basically what Triton used to tell you to do to reset your tank if you went ski with at any point, wasn't it? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I like water changes, to be honest.
Water changes.
You know, I also like. I mean, I've just set up automatic water changes, but I still like to just get in and do a manual one. I just like that connection with the tank, and you know, I just like to get the detritus out. Mate, it's satisfying to suck out a pile of detritus in your tank. I don't know what it is, but it just makes you happy. Then you just go, oh yeah, I just suck that out, and now it looks nice and clean. So,
again, daft as it sounds, I get a bit of satisfaction as sad as it is when I've done a water change, because you just feel like sort of
you've refreshed your tank. Yeah. So I quite like doing them, but you know, obviously, like someone's just put on there, you know, 98 quid for 25 kilos of salt. You know, they can work out expensive, can't they?
You can.
You know, it's like when I did all of my QT and my fish, I did tank transfer method.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, did I burn through some salt? You know, especially if you got big fish. Yeah, you know, you've seen the size of that Achilles tank. It came in big. So to put that through tank transfer, I think it was in like 100 litre vat, and I was probably changing out 70 litres a day for 12 days just to keep that water, you know, good quality. So it's not cheap.
No, I just think that there needs to be some synergy between the salt you use, the ICP, and any other, you know, additives that you're putting in. I just think it makes sense to keep it as close as you can with one brand, so you're less likely to, you know, it's like, I've said it before on the channel and to people within my social network that, you know, you've got a bottle of A that costs £20 and a bottle of B that costs £20, but bottle A is 10 times stronger than bottle B, you know. Yeah. So if you're sending your ICPs off with a company that's bottle B and just
I know it sounds it's easy to
you get mixed results is all I'm saying. So that's why I'm sort of trying to, you know, keep it a little bit regimented and controlled, quality controlled, for want of a better phrase. So I've got less problem.
Okay. Yeah, so that when they do give you advice to what to put in your tank, then you know you're on the right schedule and the right dosing regime for it. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but I mean, there's just so many products out there.
There is. Ethan, thanks for joining us. It says, "Hi everybody, watching from Cyprus."
Oh, very nice.
Mate, appreciate the support. Thanks for following me, and apologies if it took you 2 or 3 attempts to get online. We're about 6, but we are here.
You've all passed the test if you made it to this stream. Tom's testing the caliber of his audience.
I am tonight. Any other lessons that anybody can think of? I'm reading the comments, see if anybody's thought of anything.
I think, you know, I said earlier, I think the biggest lesson I learned personally from just loss of money and fish is to quarantine my fish. Yeah, and I know most people don't do that. But for me, especially with the type of fish that I've got, and the fact that I killed a load before I got to where I'm now, you know, I didn't get in the hobby to kill fish. I don't enjoy watching fish die. So, you know, I killed some really nice fish to get to where I am today. I think most people do in this hobby, to be honest. You know, it's just a fact of the hobby, really. But I suppose the differences between people that go on and have really nice, successful tanks with, you know, some really nice fish are you learn from those mistakes and you don't just keep repeating them. You know, if I buy copper band butterflies and it dies after 6 weeks, and then I buy another one, it dies after 6 weeks, and I buy another one and it dies after 6 weeks, I don't really understand why you're in the hobby, because all you're doing is systematically killing fish. I can understand you buy a copper band and it dies, but then when you go, why did it die? What do I need to change to give it more chance and more success? You know, that's what I did basically. So I went, right, okay, I killed my first Achilles, I killed it, my first powder blue, you know, they died from ick. And then I just thought, I don't want to do that again. So I took the time and the effort to, you know, learn how to climb. I mean, I suppose from my background as well. Well, you know, I worked in zoonotic diseases. You know, I've done a master's in parasitology, so I you know, I'm quite au fait with diseases. So you think really I would have done it from the outset, wouldn't you? But I was a bit naive, I suppose, thinking that, you know, when you see a healthy fish in the shop, you bring it home and it's going to stay healthy. But yeah, it only takes one, doesn't it, to drop the bomb in your tank, so to speak.
Definitely.
So yeah,
definitely. I think lessons learned in reefing. What other things we could talk about? Come on, guys, you're not really commenting much. Talking amongst yourselves. Any other things you can think of that we've done, not done, that we shouldn't do, that we should pass on to other people? I think definitely acclimatizing fish, definitely dipping, as we're saying, testing water. You've obviously got big ones out there as well.
Using copper.
Yeah, see that. Yeah.
I've never used copper. Never done it. It just didn't appeal to me, to be honest.
Well, I put it in this tank when I first put the fish in because they had a massive white spot outbreak, and I've never seen anything like it. The minute I poured the bottle,
you put copper in the main display.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a ballsy move.
Yeah, it was, because the fish were more important than anything else. Because I didn't bring any corals in. It was
right.
It was really I've had these fish for longer than I've had the dog, about 12, 14 years, and they were more important to me than anything else. And I've got the bottle of. I mean, I don't know. I'm not professing to know anything like what you do about QT, which is another thing. Like I said, the reason I want to talk to you about it on another video. But I bought the Copper Power and I poured it in, and I've never seen anything like it. Literally within, and my missus will vouch for me, literally within 30 seconds of it going in, it creating this cloud, the fish was swimming into it, and they almost knew what it was. And it was
cleansing. It's cleansing me.
Yeah. Even like an instant relief. It was crazy, mental. And it helped to no end. Whether it was the right move or not, who knows? But it was a bit of a panic. I've got it in the cupboard. The sail fin was the worst. She was literally swimming in front of the return, wanting the air to, to
follow the gills. Yeah.
Gills. And I was like, we're at emergency sort of, status. We have to do something. I got the bottle in the cupboard and I was like, well, I got no crustaceans, no shrimp or anything, no corals. So in it went, and it was the right thing to do at the time. So
yeah. So had you introduce a new fish then, or was that all your original fish?
There's no new fish in that system. They're all there were three lots of fish out of 3 different systems.
Yeah, I remember actually you rang me, didn't you? Yeah, I do remember that now.
Yeah, 3 groups of fish out of 3 different systems. And I did it in such a way that I tried to eliminate stress and aggression and whatever else. And I got through most of it. But yeah, we had white spot probably month 2, month 3.
Okay. It didn't lose anything then?
I didn't lose anything, no.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, to be fair, ick is probably one of the better ones to get because it is, it is treatable and it's quite easy to treat. if you catch it quick enough. But yeah,
no, I felt horrendous, but yeah. I think you're right. I think lessons learned is, and I think there's probably people watching tonight who've experienced it or done it or might go and do it, is get a new tank or go and buy fish from lots of different suppliers, lots of different wholesalers, and the more different sources of water or people you go, the more chance you're dicing with death, aren't you? I suppose to an extent.
You are, yeah. And I think the other thing is as you put more fish in your tank, obviously you get more and more. Well, I do anyway. I get more and more paranoid about, is the last fish going to be the one that wipes it out?
Yeah. Well, I want to put some dianthias in, the pink ones to break up the blue. I just keep saying to myself, if the risk is just not worth the reward. It's just not. I've got so many acros in here now that are settled and basing out. If something goes Pete on,
you're not going to be able to treat that DT, are you? No.
I do not want the hassle. Thank you. At all. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Is that your full complement of fish then, do you think? You don't think you're going to add? You think you're done?
Staying. Done. Because the other thing that I think you need to think, well, not you, but hypothetically, or people think about is, as your tank matures and things grow, which is what you want it to do. We all want things to grow, i.e. corals, there will be less free swimming space for fish.
Yeah.
There will be less, well, not probably less, probably more, space for fish to sleep and hide and whatever. And for me, I mean, I think I've got the right balance. I think it's just from experience. And again, I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm not by far, but from my own personal experience, I feel like I've got the right balance of water, flow, light, rock, sand, fish. It just right.
I think that, when you're talking about mistakes in the hobby, I think probably the biggest mistake that most people make is knowing when to stop.
Good point.
It's extremely difficult to just go into an LFS and see something that's stunning and go, I haven't got room for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the overriding thought is, I'll find a nook for that somewhere, or it's just one more fit. You know what I mean? And we all do it, don't we? We all do it. Yeah. I mean, I've said it about my tank. That's it. I've got the full complement of fish, but in the back of my head, there's certain fish where if they came up, I'd find it extremely difficult not to buy them.
Yeah, and I think you've got to be sort of it's a bit tough love. You've got to say to yourself, is it what I want or is it what the tank wants? Because it is an ecosystem in its own right, even though it's a small one in your living room or bedroom or wherever it is.
Yeah.
I think you might want, the Instagram and the Facebook and whatever picture you've got, and we all shoot for the moon and might reach the stars or whichever way around it is. But we all know what we want. But the point I'm trying to make is that sometimes you're not going to be able to do that because of, what the animals you're keeping, they don't want that. They can't speak. They're not knocking on the glass going, excuse me, we don't need any more neighbours, thank you. Or we're all full in the inn. But I
think that probably the biggest mistake I've made on the fish in my tank is adding that convict tank, because it's a real difficult situation because it's my oldest fish. So it's been through a lot with me. I've had it for 7 years or whatever. It's been through the tank that was in my office here and gone through several QTs with other fish, but it's always had a deep-seated hatred of yellow tanks. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. Right. So I put yellow tanks into my big tank, and I suppose I'm probably like most people. I go, the tank's, it's a big tank. It's it's 13 foot long. It's huge, really. So why would the fish, which is 4 inches long, not be happy in that amount of space with whatever other fish are in there? and I put it in there, and it's been an absolute dick to the yellow. I've got 3 yellow tangs in there now, and he just spends his whole day. 2 of them he drives up one end of the tank, and one of them he puts into the corner of the tank, and that's all he does all day. Just chases them. I mean, he did it like originally did it for about 3 months, and then he got bored, and I thought, oh, that's it. They're all settled in now. They'll be good. And then about 3 months ago, he just went, no, I don't like them. I can't get him out though. And that's the other thing.
You got any comments on Liam's comment, Rob? I've never acclimatised anything in my life. Fish are quite happy to swim up and down through temperatures and into estuaries from rivers and different salinity values.
Well, I'm not sure marine fish do. Well, I think they're quite resilient. I mean, I do acclimate my fish. I find actually inverts probably more important to acclimate, especially shrimps. Shrimps seem to be quite upset if you change the salinity too quick.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, corals, I just don't do anything like acclimation wise with corals. I set them out the side, I let them slime up, I dip them, and then I stick them in a tank. So I don't really do anything with the corals. I don't worry about anything. I don't worry about the temperature, as long as the salinity is there, obviously. But other than that, But no fish. No, I do acclimate the fish. I'd bring them up to temperature. I mean, to be fair, because I buy all my fish very local, it's not like when you watch Americans and they've been in the post for 2 days in a box or something. So I don't have that. Probably my fish have got 30-minute journey time max, really. So there's not going to be a massive discrepancy. I know some fish can go from salt to brackish to freshwater, but I don't think you've got things like mollies, haven't you? That you can get from fresh to salt. Scats are another one. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They can live in brackish water. You could probably get them into salt, but no, I do. Yeah, I do acclimate my fish.
Liam lives in Doncaster, which if fish can live in Doncaster, they are hard enough, mate. So you don't have to worry about that. I'm sure he won't mind me saying. Not that Rotherham's any better. Anyway. That comment, Liam. Ryland, there's no need for this, but I am not getting taking my t-shirt off, even though it's Friday night and it's 10:15, and we're all having a beer. Thanks very much, brother.
We are, yes.
Dave, how are you getting into it? Yes, I'm going to do some videos of the setup. I'm interested to know what you want to know, to be fair. I mean, the idea of my YouTube channel, it's not going to be like others. It's going to be more about talking to other reefers about their setups and talking about why they run the equipment they run and the way they run their setups, because that for me is something I'm more comfortable and familiar with. But DM me or message on here what you'd like to know. Not a problem doing a video. Alex, planning the reef placement of corals, what fish go together, etc. Get a list drawn up on the reef. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Making sure that
it's a good idea to not just have a blank box and no idea what you want to put in it, really. I mean, it's like I was saying I know I keep talking about the tank. We're going to do a tank tour at some point, but my tank, the whole of my tank was set up because I wanted that Achilles tang in it. So the whole kind of thing, even my aquascape is like a spine down the middle. So the tank's like a meter back to front, and the rock work is basically it's a spine down the middle. And then my idea is, so they got corridors basically, so they can still fly up and down 13 foot even when the corals grow out. The montes, the plating stuff is low, so they can swim over the top of it. So because some tanks, they just have a big wall of coral, don't they? And you think as it all grows out, you're just really restricting the amount of free space.
We've all fallen. Well, I think the majority. I think the majority of us, if we're really, really, really honest, and on art, have done this in the past. Well, it says 200, but I'll put a bit more in.
I think I did that. I did that with. I don't know why I did it, but I think what's it? I can't remember. What was it that likes iodine? something like iodine, isn't it? Is it Gonnies? I'm not sure what it was. I had something, and someone went to me, you should make sure your iodine levels are right.
Gonnies is obviously what they were on about. Go on.
Is it magnesium?
No. Everybody's screaming at the screen right now.
I'm having a senior moment.
Manganese. Sorry,
manganese. I've got the M.
Yeah, manganese.
Yeah, manganese. Yeah. Oh, and so I can't remember why, but someone said dose iodine. You know, and you get it in a little drop bottle, and you just it's not in this tank; it's in a previous tank. And I just got into the habit of putting a drop in a day. Never tested. Didn't test for months and months and months. And then ICPs come out. And I thought, well, I'll do one of them. And it was like, you know, when you get the bar from green to like, how is anything alive in your tank? It was just so far off.
It was like
yeah. I mean, to be fair, I didn't see the adverse effects from it. But yeah, I was just like, I think I'll stop dosing that then. But that's just I can't even remember why I was doing it now. But and it's one of those things where someone goes, "Oh, you should dose." I saw no detectable difference in the tank at all whatsoever. So I think my iodine gets dosed in my nori sheets now, to be honest, because they're quite high in iodine.
Refer to drip here rather than to that comment. I think not only would I say blind dosing, I would also say like spacing the dosing out. It's one thing that I've been reading recently and listening to some of the podcasts. I know Drippy has and Alex Brooks has and the other friends have.
The bolus method.
No, not now. Some of one of the podcasts, the Oshiamo podcast with Frag Garage talks about some of the minor trace elements and, you know, like fluoride, for example. You know, if you're going to increase your fluoride, that you should be doing it over the space of like 2-3 weeks, not 2-3 days. Right. It literally minimal. And I think sometimes the point I'm trying to make is that we can strive for that sort of perfection or that level, and our patience or lack of patience, should I say?
Yeah.
Affects it.
I think I think a lot of people have difficulties as well with, you look at the volume of water in your tank and it tells you to put like 1 ml in, and your brain goes, "What? Honestly, what difference can that make?" That's you know, people go, "That can't. I'll put more." But you know, the clue is in the word trace. You know, the level should be super low.
Yeah,
but it's difficult. It is difficult.
Tim, this comment concerns me slightly. I'll let you explain on another comment. Got a special surprise brewing for you when I come to the Beat Barbecue. Okay, no problem. Let's leave it there.
I hope it's reef related.
What else we got? Oh, Critical Reef. Where are you? Critical Reef. Where are we? Better late than never. Thanks for joining us, buddy. Probably me just send you down a different avenue with the channel. Apologies. Underestimating pH is a mistake of mine. 2 years to Hobbit. Another.
you got a fan.
Hallelujah. That'll do you. Southeast Reefer. Couldn't agree more, mate. Yes. It's not the be-all and end-all, but I will say that I can clearly tell the difference with my tank when I have a higher pH than a lower one, personally. Being more of a coral person than fish person with you, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's fine. I mean, I suppose I'm not as concerned about pH, but my pH runs about 8.1 to 8.3. And it does that with minimal input from me, really. So I'm happy. I don't really want to push that envelope anymore. Don't see the point, to be honest. I could. I mean, I dose my calc 24/7, so I don't do reverse cycle calc dosing.
Right. Okay.
But I mean, it's like I say, everything's pros and cons. Because I dose calc at 100% of my evaporation rate, so I haven't actually switched my ATO on for probably 2 years.
Wow.
So my AT just switched off. So I check my salinity obviously 2 or 3 times a week just to make sure, especially in the summer, because as it heats up, the evaporation rate goes up. So I'll probably end up doing, I don't know, 25 litres a day, 26 litres a day. And then in the winter, it'll drop back to under 20.
Do you test your fluoride as well then?
I do ICPs. I was doing them monthly, to be honest, and then I think I probably did what you did, to be honest. I sent 2 with the same sample and just looked at the results and just went, I'm not going to do them anymore. So,
well, I did 3.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I mean, I don't want to just. I'm not being disparaging. I don't want to say they're not worth it. But my take on it is, I think they're fine for the essential elements and the macro elements. When it gets down to trace, I'll be very skeptical. And
I think the biggest thing people forget with ICPs is you've got the OES and the OES and the MS.
Well, I said you got OES and MS. Yeah, so I did one of each. So and the max spec one is the kind of order of magnitude more accurate, I guess, or more,
Yeah.
But even that, it was just. I mean, I suppose the thing is, I dose trace, so I know that I'm dosing the trace elements every day because I dose it the tropic marine, so I know they're going in the tank. And yet, for 8 months, every single ICP said, "You need to buy this and dose this much. You need to buy this," And I think I made a video on it actually. When I looked at across probably 6 months worth, I think I would have spent something like 600 quid on dosing traces. And I haven't dosed any of them, and my tank's there, everything's still alive.
Yeah.
So
that's why I said only a couple of weeks ago on the live stream that the paper that, if I can share it on here, I will put it on because I really think it's important for people to read. It's the paper. I don't know if you've read it that Oshiamo did in 2022.
Yeah.
And it covers GFO and carbon and zeolites and everything else, and it's a proper eye opener for people in the hobby. Who, I'm not pushing science on people and research, but I really think it's important that people understand that some of the makeup of the products that they're putting in their tank, especially if it's man-made and not natural, and GFO is just like wow, and I talk to a lot of people that grow corals for a living, Chris at Signature Frags, and a few other people that say GFO is a no. As much as it might be
I don't use it.
A saviour in terms of getting rid of a problem, it can create many other problems.
Yeah, well, I think I it's very good at what it does. It pulls out phosphates, but they I don't know. Well, I do know why. I was going to say, I don't know why they don't tell you what else it pulls out. Because, it's very rare to get something that is absolutely specific, that's going to pull out one element and nothing else.
Exactly. And to be fair to Doug at Frag Farm, Doug Dory, I talked to him the other day. He's a bit of a chemist. And he was saying exactly that. And, while there's a product that is designed to take something out, there will always be a byproduct of that will affect another element, another part of the periodic table, unfortunately for us as reefers. And that's why for me, I keep saying this, I'm not professing to be an expert, but it all boils down to the water change. Natural as you can keep your routine without incorporating as many man-made products as you can, the less problems you.
The other positive about not using GFO, one, it's just messy, isn't it? I hate it. I mean, I've used it before, but it's so expensive.
Yeah, but it's how many times you have to rinse it? It's like rinsing gravy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I don't run that anymore, and I've never run carbon. I don't know if you run carbon, but I've never run it.
I have. I've run it for a long time because the KZ that I with the zeolites has said run carbon. And after reading that paper, I was like, well, hang on a minute. I've been fighting for the last 6 months to get iron and other minor trace elements. There's no wonder I ain't got iron in my system if my carbon's pulling it out. So it's like, so you're telling me to buy this bottle of iron to put it into my tank, but also buy your carbon that's taking the iron out of my tank. Well, who's the idiot here?
What was their premise for running the carbon then? Why did I say to run it?
I think it's well, they don't. That's the problem. It's just part of it's part of the system.
Oh, okay, right.
It's a lot of cloak and dagger and smoke and mirrors. To be fair, I think the more I'm sort of progressing with the hobby and that system, the more I'm learning that. Excuse me. There's certain products within it that I want to use. There's certain ones that I actually don't think are beneficial. They actually they create more problems than anything. I mean, the flatworm stop for a one is I've been a big advocate of that for a long time, but it's heavy on iodine. So I'm wondering why my iodine is going through the roof. And it's because I'm dosing that as much as I am every day. But they don't tell you it's got iodine in it.
Right. Why? You haven't got flatworms, have you? Or have you?
No, it's flatworm stop. It's basically it's a solution. BRS did a big thing on it years ago.
Right.
It basically helps your corals. It's a way of basically.
It's not for flatworms, then.
Pardon?
It's not for flatworms.
No, it's called flatworm stop because it's basically the design is to make your coral less desirable to a flatworm should you ever have them. And more,
okay. So it kind of makes them unpalatable, does it?
And more resilient if you had them. Yes.
Okay. I've not heard that.
Wait, you learn something new every day.
Every day's a school day, Tom. Yeah.
Right, let's look at some of these more comments. I've never got on with JFO, not used it in years. Great stream. Thanks, Johnny boy. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Got your shirt on, John?
I've gone back to dosing calc and my tank looks instantly better. Yeah. Yeah. But I do feel there's a bit of a change coming with it, though. I'm watching a few YouTube videos recently and people are going, oh, you're going to have a old tank syndrome with it and you're going to have this and you're going to have that. And I mean, I noticed, I said to Alex and Lee and Liam and a few other people in my, like I say, my little social network that in WhatsApp group that I dosed it for 48 hours and the difference in my tank was night and day with corals. Everything looked happier. Polyp extension. Not colours, just happier. Just.
I mean, I guess like the old tank syndrome thing is if you're in the States, for example, they tend to buy like pickling lime. They buy a 50 kilo bag of it or whatever. So there are traces of other stuff, obviously, in that calc. I mean, even the calc over here, it suddenly went from 99% to 95. I don't know. Do you buy yours from? Is it APC or?
I do.
So I don't know. And they don't. If you ask them, they don't tell you anything. They don't reply a lot of the time. So I don't know what it is, but it's in that. But when it comes to reef chemistry, I probably listen to two people. I look at Randy Holmes-Farley and I look at Craig Bingman, what he says.
Yeah,
because those guys know their shit. So I'm more than happy to listen to what they say. And they both addressed the issue of dosing calc long term, and they both said you shouldn't see any issues, even if you buy the food grade stuff that they get over there. So I think our stuff is probably a little bit better. So I'm not expecting any long term problems really from the calc. And I think the other thing is it settles out. You're using a stirrer.
Yeah. Delta stirrer.
Yeah. So I think probably if there's any nasties in there, they would probably settle out in the bottom anyway, because you have to clean it every 3 months to get that thick crud on the bottom, don't you? So
I put mine into the skimmer so it can obviously add a little buffer it a little bit more, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. You got the Delta stirrer?
Yeah. The KM500.
Yeah. Bargain.
It's so expensive for what it does. I can't it down, but anyway.
It's a whole nother stream.
It is. What Alex put in here, carbon alternative naturally, his micro bubble scrubbing, loves to slime. Oh, he loves this little algae scrub, as Alex does. Little homemade ones. Just like I could then do a water change fresh as a day.
Bubble scrubbing was really popular, wasn't it, a couple of years ago? Where you just pump some air into your power heads and turn your tank into a skimmer, basically. I think that is a very similar thing to what people are doing with the calcium carbonate, the reef snow or whatever they call it. You're making a floccular, aren't you, to take out suspended organic matter, basically.
Yeah.
I think they're probably just different ways to do the same thing.
Go ahead and just lift it up a little bit so it's near the surface, and you've just got bubble scrubbing all day long.
Yeah. I'll just run your sump low. Your return pump constantly sucking in.
Cheers, Liam. Good stream. Nice to put face to name, Rob. Pleasure to listen to you, both spirits, etc. Thanks for joining us. Thank you very much, Liam. Thanks both. Great stream. Cheers to host. Have a good weekend, all. No, thank you very much. Alex, jacuzzi time. Not yet. We've got 5 minutes left. Is there anything that anybody would like to ask? Either myself or Rob. Not personal, fish related, please.
Yeah. No clam related questions.
Clam related questions before we wrap up for the weekend. And thanks again for joining, everybody. We've had 30 odd people tonight. It's been amazing. Really appreciate the support. Skimmer pump on the sump for me. I don't know anything about that, Liam. Anybody else? Great stream, guys. Now you in a few weeks. I'll have a cup if that's okay, bud. I think he means that's aimed at you, Rob, I think. Because he don't
right. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
He's revamping his sump room at the minute, so it's.
Yeah, I saw him. He posted some pictures on Insta, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm thinking I'll probably do mine at some point.
Well, how did you get that phosphatic diatom's gone? Is it a blackout pit? No, it wasn't. It was. Oh God, this is gonna sound weird. It's
a silica issue, isn't it? You had
silica issue, and I think, and again, I'm not sitting here to be any expert. I think sometimes when you try and fight something, you can actually make it worse. You actually just need to let go and let it nature
run its course. Yeah.
Do you agree with what I'm saying, Rob?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I mean, it's difficult to do, but it's the best thing. Yeah.
And what I did was, I mean, I can't share it because it's on my phone, but my tank got gruesome. I mean, I nearly ended up ringing the Ghostbusters to deal with my tank at one point. It got a bit gruesome. All jokes aside, and I let it run, and then it just, yeah. I think the way you've got to sort of think of it is that, I always say the good guys, the bad guys, and whatever analogy you want to use it just needed to find its equilibrium, and it just needs to find its balance, and it was
just burnt itself out eventually. Yeah,
burnt itself out, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was 3 months altogether, and it wasn't diatom. I went through diatom, dinos, cyano, and God knows whatever else, and it got to a point where it just went. But what I did find was the more I was trying to interfere, as in clean it and doing water changes and siphon it, the more I was prolonging it.
That was all that copper you had in the rock, Tom.
Probably. But no, I think that's definitely what I would say, Dave. Is I just literally had to just say, hang on a minute, less is more. Time out, patience. Just let it get. Let's see how bad it gets. And it got really, really bad. And then guess what? It got better. So
yeah, I mean, most things do that, don't they? Really,
it does. Biggest regret? I'm in such a big tank, Rob.
Equipment-wise, paying out an absolute fortune for a Royal exclusive Bubble King skimmer.
I bought it second hand. I can't afford a brand new one.
Yeah, no, I bought I bought a brand new one from Germany.
Wow.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with a skimmer. It works now, but you know, when I can't even remember how much I paid for it, but it was a lot of money, stonking amount of money, really. And it turned out it had a big scratch on the head of the skimmer, which, to be fair, when it's full of bubbles, you can't see it. But I still thought, you know, it's got a scratch on it. And then it's external, my one. So obviously it's plumbed outside of my tank. So you have to feed it with another pump. So it's fed from the sump, and then it comes up, and then it's got the Venturi pump on the side. And they didn't fit the O-rings in it. So it comes made, essentially, you know, as one unit, and you plumb it. So I plumbed it all in, fed it, and water just pissed out everywhere, all over my fish room. And I thought it was my plumbing to start with. And then obviously, you know, you go through and do your post-mortem on it. And I took the pump apart, and there was they didn't fit any O-rings. I sent it out with no O-rings in it. So I was like,
oh dear.
Yeah. So obviously you have to go buy them from Germany. So it means I couldn't run the skimmer for I don't know how long. And yeah, I don't want to go. And then the shaft in the pump broke as well. So it's brand new pump. So I put the O-rings in and it ran. And the other thing that really pissed me off was it broke the day I went on holiday.
Oh no.
You know, you check your camera and you just go, why is there no bubbles in my skimmer? So yeah, so I had a really bad start with it. So that was the first probably 3 months of setting it up. It gave me nothing but hassle. And I thought, you know, because everyone went to me, if you want the best in skimmers, just buy a Royal Exclusive. You never have to touch them. They run and run and run. They're perfect.
And I would say that to anybody, because I've never had a problem with mine.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've never met anyone else. I've never met anyone else who's gone, I've had trouble with it. They just go, I turned it on. I've been cleaning it for years. And I mean, to be fair, after all of that initial, but it's like anything, isn't it? When you pay that much money for something, you just expect it to be.
To be fair, what I will say is I had a schoolboy. So when I first set this tank up, and you won't see it unless you saw the video that Mogsy did when he came here a while ago, I had a heater in the return chamber with the 2 return pumps.
Right.
And I kept getting an error off one of the pumps. And it was because of the electrical surge or current that was coming from the heater that was affecting the pump. And there was absolutely no way I would have worked that out. And I sent an email to Royal Exclusive, and we're literally within an hour or so, I got a response saying, have you got a heater plugged in near it? And I was like, well, yeah. He was like, well, remove the heater and you won't have the problem. Remove the heater and I never had the problem again.
Yeah.
So, fair.
Yeah. I mean, I must say in their defense, their service support is very good. It is good. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else I've bought, which I've been happy or unhappy with. I mean, it's hard to be happy with a return pump, isn't it? Because they just pump water.
Have you got the oh Christ, I'm getting way too old here. Come on.
Return pumps?
No, Powerhead. Have you got the
I've got Penta-Rays.
Penta-Ray.
Yes. Yeah, I've got 2 Penta-Rays.
I'm so jealous. Talk to me about Penta-Ray for 2 minutes before we go.
Yeah, I've got mine. These are second hand because I couldn't get them new.
Oh, you couldn't get them in the UK. I couldn't get one when I wanted one for this.
Yeah, they are. I don't know. They're a very strange company to deal with, to be honest. They seem to be very difficult to get hold of. Yeah, so no, 2 came up, and is it Ultimate Reef? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just snapped them up instantly. Yeah, I mean, they're unusual. They're very good. I like them. They're super silent. And the controller's like weird little magnets that you slide up and spin.
Yeah, I've seen it on like a wooden block or something.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So they're quite nice. Yeah. So they're good. So I think I might get the Hydra Wizard 63 at some point. No, I said I'm obsessed with flow.
Now I know I fancied one, but I couldn't. There was nothing in the UK, and I'll be damned if I'm buying a brand new one because they are stupid money.
Yeah, a couple of grand, aren't they?
A couple of grand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, I mean the Abyss returns are very.
You got?
I mean, yeah, I've got 3. Yeah.
Oh my lord! How many numbers? You must have won the lottery. You, Christ! I need to now.
Yeah.
Wow.
These are the return pumps, not the wave makers.
Yeah, I know. You've got 3 return.
Yeah, so I've got 2 A200s. So no one said I've got 2.
Oh my lord! You need to stop this because we're going to talk about this on the next video. But wow.
Okay, right. Yeah.
So I've got
in the A400 as well.
Behave. I thought my red dragons were red lipstick. You've clearly got yeah. Anyway, you went all out.
I've got a exclusive stamp as well, haven't
I? 5 minutes for a wrap up. Anybody got anything else they would like to ask Rob about? Wow, 3 Abyss. Before we're going to close it, we're going to give it till 10 past because I'm apologising for the inconvenience at the beginning of the stream.
They're all running. They all run. 3 Abyss running.
You're running 3.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 for returns, and then the 400 runs like the skimmer and the UVs and can't remember what else. Oh, I've got a little satellite tank it runs. So
yeah, I need to go see that tank. Just come down and see you as soon as we come down again. Yeah. The boys out in, if you don't mind, come down and see it. It's going to be amazing that to see that set up. That's amazing, mate. That's amazing. Wow. Anybody else? Any questions? Anything else before we wrap up before the end of the night? 22 people watching still.
Yeah, it's good.
Right, I think we'll call it a day then. If we're going to comment. Right. Well, thank you ever so much, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thanks ever so much for the support. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for watching.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. And I hope everybody has a good weekend. And we will see you all next Friday. And Rob, I'll be in touch, and hopefully we'll do a video on your tank if you don't mind, and tell everybody about how you run it and what you've got in it, etc. If you don't mind.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No problem.
Thanks very much, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Yeah.
You're still.
Cheers, everyone.
Everybody, take care. Bye bye.